Take a look around you at your community. Whether it's at a country crossroads or part of a vast city, the life of a community depends on many things. It takes a lot of things to make a community. Men, women, children, family pets, streets and buildings, water and light and heat and transportation. To build the homes in which we live in comfort and happiness, it takes a lot of everyday material things like glass and stone, concrete and wood, brick and steel. It takes material things, stone and steel and wood, to build schools so that our children may have the opportunity to learn, to prepare themselves for the responsibilities of citizenship in our community. The churches in which we worship according to the light we follow, these are built of material things. The stores and factories and offices of many kinds for our trade and our commerce. Certainly, we depend on material things to serve our community day after day through weeks, months, and years. But really, to make our community work, to make it a going concern, it takes people. People who depend on each other for the goods and services so necessary to the health, wealth, and happiness of all who live there, including this young man. There's hardly a thing he can do without help from someone else. First of all, Mother, who is surely number one in baby's scheme of things. And it's nice, of course, to have Dad around the house. But when a fellow's hungry, a glass of milk's a pretty important thing, too. And getting that glass of milk depends on a lot of other folks. The milkman, for instance. Rain or shine, summer or winter, the milkman sees to it that the children of our community get their daily supply of fresh, wholesome milk. We depend on that, and that's as it should be. Everyone in our community knows that he and his children can depend on the goods and services furnished by the milkman on his route. But there's more to it than that. The milkman depends on the dairy for his daily supply of milk. He knows that the product he sells will be carefully processed and waiting for him when he needs it. The dairy, in turn, depends on the farmer, not only for a fresh, wholesome product, but for fast, dependable transportation to get that product to the processing plants. The farmer, on his part, depends on the men who tend his herds and keep his dairy stock in good health, just as he depends on the men who keep his trucks operating at top efficiency. Yes, this little man depends on a lot of people for his glass of milk. And so it goes throughout the whole community. In our community, we depend on each other. The florist, the grocer, shoemaker, druggist, fruit vendor, tradesman, businessman, or professional, in health and in sickness.
Do you think he'll be all right?
I don't know. It all depends.
Hello? What? Well, now, don't worry, Ed. I'll be right over.
Each of us depends on many others. The patient depends on the doctor for the skill and knowledge that will lead him back to health. For his prescriptions, the doctor depends on the druggist for the careful and accurate compounding of drugs and medicines. And the druggist depends on many others for the things he buys, his drugs and chemicals, his stock and freight. But in addition, the druggist depends on the grocer for food he and his own family need for healthful living. And behind the grocer are the truck farmers who sell him vegetables, the wholesalers who supply his meat and canned goods, and behind each of these, more and more people. There's really no end to it. In our community, everybody depends on everybody else for the things they do or buy, for the goods and services that make up the life of the community. No business stands by itself. It's the same with your Chevrolet dealership. It depends on many people, and many people depend on the goods and services it offers. They depend on the comfort, safety, and dependability of passenger cars and trucks year in and year out. People depend on the convenience of the modern motor car and the pleasure it brings, whether driving on city streets or on the highways leading to and from our community. And business, too, depends on truck transportation for the steady flow of goods and materials within our community or from one community to another. Then, when they have driven their cars for a year or two, or when their family transportation requirements have changed, people depend on being able to trade in their older models on new cars, incorporating all the advances resulting from a period of constant research and experiment. They depend on knowing they will get the best in modern transportation, with big car comfort, performance, and safety at low operating costs. If they don't wish to pay cash, they depend on being able to finance their new cars over a convenient period of time and at a reasonable cost. And the cars they trade in, other people depend on knowing that those cars are completely reconditioned, put in perfect running order, so that they can buy with confidence good used cars they know will give them maximum transportation at prices they can afford. And there's more to it than the selling of passenger cars and trucks. People depend on good service to keep them moving. The doctor, for example.
I know this is a rush order, but I have to have that car. Can you possibly fix it up tonight?
Sure, Doctor. We'll pick it up right away and stay on it till the job's done. You can depend on it.
What's this I hear about Ed's little boy?
Pneumonia, I guess. They called the doctor.
Yes, the doctor depends upon the prompt, efficient servicing of his car so that he can respond to any emergency day or night. And to make sure this little fella gets his full daily quota of health-building milk, the milkman depends on having his truck in running condition every day. He knows that in spite of the heavy loads and tough driving conditions caused by constant stops and starts, his engine will be kept running smoothly and dependably by factory-trained mechanics. And since his truck is a vital link in the life of the community, the milkman can't afford to have it laid up because some needed part is not at hand. He depends on knowing that there's a complete stock of genuine parts available all the time. Yes, the milkman and the doctor and the grocer all depend on experienced factory-trained mechanics to assure fine workmanship on their cars and trucks and to keep them on the road. And you too can depend on all this and on complete modern facilities to keep your car at top operating efficiency for performance, safety, comfort, and economy. Just as the merchants keep their vehicles serviceable and in operation in good weather or bad, this same dependable service makes sure that school buses are kept safe and in the best mechanical condition all the time. Just as all the other businesses in your community depend on you for the services you supply and for your trade, so does your Chevrolet dealership. It depends on you for your goodwill, for your patronage. It is set up to supply the best in goods you buy and services you need. This dealership, like other businesses in your community, is solid, substantial, a permanent organization. It hopes to serve not only you and your community now, but future generations for a long time to come.